Welcome back to America Decides. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is reporting a 55% decrease in migrant encounters along the southern border since President Biden signed new executive actions on immigration. Now, despite this recent decrease, immigration was basically a losing issue for Democrats in 2024. 90% of voters who cited it as their most important issue, well, they broke for Donald Trump. Joining me now, the Democratic governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham, otherwise known as the land of enchantment. Not the governor, but the state of New Mexico.
I'll take enchanting governor as well.
Very good.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you, Governor. We'll get to some policy things in a minute, but a couple of political questions. First, on election night, as you saw returns come in, were you surprised?
I was surprised. I mean, you want what you want. You believe in what's the best for the country. I fight for that. I work hard for that. I believe in the vice president and thought she ran a really remarkable race. And I think we too readily forget she did that in 107 days. And I'm really proud of that effort. So, of course, if you weren't surprised a little, then you weren't as engaged, I think, in that positivity about Americans are ready for a variety of things and are going to vote against extremism. But we didn't win, and I appreciate that we're having conversations about both parties and sort of the divisive divide. It's divisive between people and the divide between parties in this country.
According to census data, New Mexico, 49% Hispanic and Latino.
Only minority-majority state in the country.
Exactly. Vice President Harris carried it by 6 points. Joe Biden carried it by 10. Did that surprise you? And as you traveled around the state, did you detect a shift?
I was detecting a shift much earlier on, and I think we all did. People were very concerned about the economy, and you have to drill down. It's not just about jobs and employment, because New Mexico is one of the top economies now per capita in the country, and we have huge employment growth. I think we've added well more than 110,000 jobs, and for a tiny state of 2 million people, that's the largest increase in the history of the state. But you can't use that talking point without recognizing that if people are worried about their mortgages, and they are, and they can't pay for child care, and their groceries are too high, and their utilities are too high.
And rent and insurance are aggravating.
It's just, then that's the issue they must focus on. So in my reelect, post-COVID, you can see this sentiment is already present around the country. And we can debate about whether we did enough or too much on one side, but it is an issue that I think we really need to get back to. It's a fundamental political issue. Bread and butter, kitchen table issues, of course, are going to be the primary issues that folks are going to be concerned with.
One of our CBS contributors, a gentleman named Chuck Rocha, and he's thinking about possibly running for the new DNC chair position. Whether he does or not is irrelevant, or it's relevant to him, but not to my question. He just said something on CNN I want to run by you. He said, I want to return back to the party that was when I joined it, fighting for middle-class values, being the party of workers, being the party of the common man, making Democrats fun again.
Well, I'm all about making all of us a little bit more fun again, because I see a lot of anxiety and angry. Oh, I think that when people are hurting, it's very easy to tap into anger. And I say shame on all of the politicians, irrespective of party, who feed and tell people to be angry, because that doesn't solve anything. I disagree with Chuck, and I'm a big admirer that we're not the party of the working people anymore and hardworking American families. But I don't think that we talk about it in ways or get enough done in ways that are meaningful. When you talk about the Beltway, Congress being broken, stuff gets very complicated. We're always trying to explain it and untangle it, and that's really frustrating. At the end of the day, can you make my bread less expensive? And I think we have forgotten, as elected and as policymakers, both parties, frankly. Republicans, which is why we reject them in New Mexico, are too extreme. No fundamental freedoms. No one, ban abortion. Nobody can be equal. You can't really go to college. We won't make investments in you. You're on your own. Every man, woman for themselves. Too extreme. But also, New Mexicans want you to deliver working family policies. We have a constitutional right to child care. We're almost there. Paid for, universal childcare, only place in the country, free college, 2-year, 4-year, universal pre-K, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, more affordable housing coming, working on bringing all of the other everyday costs down. So when you can connect your party to the policies that make a difference, and I'll tell you how big a difference. We went from 50th to 17th in the nation in childhood poverty. Why? Because we're investing in the health and stability of those families. Americans will vote for that.
I want to ask you about Governor Gavin Newsom in California.
I've heard of him.
Yes, I bet you have. Of Trump-proofing California. Governor Jared Polis in Colorado is teaming up with Governor Pritzker in Illinois to ward off authoritarian encroachments on their states. Do you share their fears? Will you join their cause?
So I think we're all going to do this, and I hope that we have more Republican governors. We should be holding every federal administration to the letter of the law. You cannot engage in unlawful, unfair activity, and you certainly should not be, as we are talking about with immigration, that we're going to use the military to do mass deportations. That is an unlawful practice.
How concerned are people in New Mexico about that prospect?
They're concerned. That's too extreme. They're very concerned. It's why they reject it. Here's what New Mexicans want. We'd like more border security. We would like to stop all illegal activity at the border. I don't want human trafficking. I don't want drug trafficking. I don't want guns. All of that should be not just debated, we ought to work to eradicate it. I want more Border Patrol agents. I want more smart security. I want all of it. The Mexicans want that. What they don't want is this inhumane and cruel set of policies that are meant to interrupt the economy. We're an ag state. We are clear what that does. We're also a different kind of state. I mean, New Mexico is 60% Native American Hispanic. For 400 years, these two groups have learned and done incredibly well, integrating, right, their priorities and policies, their families, their lives. That's not the same as a lot of other states that are struggling with immigration issues. It's a different population center. But on immigration, I think that Americans can and should be unified. Pass a meaningful, modernized immigration reform bill out of the Senate and out of Congress. Get that done. We all want that. And on people who are doing illicit work, criminals in this country, frankly, I don't care where you're from. You should be held accountable in every jurisdiction all across the country, and that includes people who are not here legally. I don't want them in my state. Frankly, I don't want them in Arizona or Texas either.
Michelle Lujan Grisham, Democratic Governor of New Mexico. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.